Changing the oil on this van here today. The punchline is it's been 2 years. They say you're supposed to change it every year or like 5,000 miles. But I don't drive this van a heck of a lot. And so I waited 2 years. I didn't do it after 1 year. And the oil's kind of dark, but it's not crazy dark. And I think I'm extending everything because, as far as time horizon, because modern oils I think are better than old-fashioned oil. And see, I did it September 2021, last time I did it. And it's now March 2024, so it's actually been 2.5 years. September, October, November, December, January. It's actually been 2.5 years. Let's see, how many miles do I have on it? It's hard to see. I'll tell you what, let's not try that. I can't hardly see it with the sunlight and everything. But what I do, I change the, I mark the miles. See, I think I'm on the other side here. So what did I say, 69 was it? 59, I'm now at 62. So it's only 3,000 miles. It's only 3,000 miles, but it's been 2.5 years. But like I say, I think that modern oil doesn't really have, I think it lasts. And the one thing I do that's kind of extra, last time I had this oil changed, I had them take them. I got a new oil pan off the internet that had a lug, and I actually had, because I don't like to drop that pan on the tranny. It makes such a mess. So I hired it done, and I had them put that new pan on that's got the drain plug. So I'm gonna, drain the tranny fluid too and change it, Mercon 5. Now some people might say, oh, it's just this Walmart and it's no good. Well, a lot of people say you don't have to change tranny fluid. In fact, this, the reason they don't have a drain plug in, you're not supposed to change it, maybe. I don't know. But anyway, I believe in changing it. Get some fresh oil, I figure, okay, so on the one hand, the oil maintains its quality for the most part for 2.5 years, I believe. But the tranny fluid, this is an 06 vehicle. So this tranny fluid is, how many is that? 18 years? So it's old. And so I think that whereas it still works, some of the finer quality additives have deteriorated over time. And one other thing I want to say real quick. Some people say, I use this Fram oil filter. Some people say, oh, it's no good. Well, see that white minivan over there? I've been changing the oil with that, for that, and for 20, that's an 04. So that's 20 years old. So it's 20 years old. I've been using the cheapest Fran oil filters, and it's fine. So that's my analysis of that. I like to put this RTV, this is gasket maker, on the drain plug because for two reasons. One, I think it helps to seal it so it don't leak, and two, it helps with resistance to unscrewing so it don't unscrew itself. You know, it's interesting, on Facebook they have a mechanics page that the guys complain about the location of the oil filter and difficult to reach, and it looks like on this Ford E150, instead of putting it in a difficult place, they ran hoses over here, and then it looks like there's a bit of a oil cooling function right here too. Interesting, huh? One other thing I was going to say is, this is supposed to be screwed on 3/4, so what I do is make it snug, and then I'll make a mark right here in the front, and then rotate it over to here. I'll show you on the other one. The old one's got a mark. See, there's the mark on the old one I did. I know I did it because that's me. And there's the oil. See, it's really not that bad as far as darkness is concerned. I was going to say something else. Oh yeah, now I have to dump that oil into a container to take it to Walmart for they accept to use motor oil. I have a thing too, whereas if you're a retail operation and you sell motor oil, you need to accept used motor oil, because every time, well, maybe not a quart, but every time somebody buys a gallon of new motor oil, they're going to produce a gallon of used motor oil. Tranny fluid is red. It rarely looks dirty. Sometimes it smells burned if it's if the transmission's been hit hard. Another thing people say is you can't drain all the transmission out. You only get about 30%, 1/3. And so they say, well, it's not worth doing it. But so they don't do anything. But I say it's better to do a third than none at all. Plus, this is 2/3. But of course, it's not a perfect 2/3, because some of the new oil 2-3 years ago is being drained out, so to speak. But at any rate, it's still better than nothing. That's my opinion. Another thing, I used to, because you're upside down, you don't know what's screwing in and what's screwing out, so to speak. And so I would take the ratchet and I'd be right side up, and I'd turn the ratchet so it was unscrewing, and then when I turned it upside down, then I knew which direction to go. But it seems like I finally figured it out. I didn't really need to use the ratchet this time. But that's a trick if you get confused when you're upside down. Another thing I do, I write the oil filter, the size of the drain plug, and the amount of oil it takes on here. Now, I haven't done the tranny. I need to, I guess, because this is bigger. This isn't a 5/8, it's actually bigger. And it uses Mercon 5, but then it does say, I looked in the owner's manual to confirm, I already knew it, but it says, look on the dipstick if you're not sure. So there it says Mercon 5 right on the dipstick. Another thing I do is I torque the nut down, but to be honest with you, I've gotten kind of lax about that. I usually kind of over torque. I mean, it's hard to know. This thing ain't real accurate. It's hard to know exactly where it is. I kind of put it, I used to have a tape on here and then I had a mark on it, but now I just kind of put it like that and generally over torque it. But when I say over torque it, it might not be as tight as you think. So I don't over tighten it. In fact, when I went to take this apart, they all just about come off like nothing, especially the oil filter. So, and you know, you talk about the wheels too. I've had people say the wheels come off. So generally the mechanic will over torque the wheels. I don't believe that wheel will come off if you get it pretty snug. You know, I say, you know, torque it. If you should tighten it and torque it. But I don't believe when people drive away from the garage and the wheel falls off, they didn't tighten it at all. It'll last a while if you tighten it a little bit. If it falls off as soon as you leave the garage, they just put it on finger tight. They didn't snug it at all. Of course, the tranny doesn't have a big oil fill like the motor oil here. Tranny much smaller, and I've got a variety of funnels, but even this one is too big. I got to get a smaller funnel for that. So it takes a little more time, but it's not that big of a deal, really.
One thing they'll say, I've heard them say, is measure the amount you took out of the tranny and put the same amount back in. So this is it. It's almost a gallon. Pretty close to a gallon. But of course that assumes you got the right amount in to start with. And but anyway, it's a good idea. And then I'll burn that. Rags like that I burn. I'm out in the country. But even in the city, if you get a little coffee can, you can go out in the backyard and burn that stuff. So you know, when you first start it, it has to refill the oil filter, which is I don't even see it. Usually, oh, I know, it's a gauge. So there it is there. But at any rate, whether you got a gauge or a light or either one, when you first restart it, let it run for a short time, and then this is long enough, and then check your levels again. So now I'm going to drive to a level place and check the fluids, and tranny's a little trickier. This says you want ambient temperature above 50, and this range, it usually says, let's see, it usually says you turn it on and you leave it in park. I don't even see where it says that. Alright, here it is. It says drive the vehicle 20 miles. Park level surface, move the gear shift through all the gears, put it in park with the engine running, and then check it. So what I'm going to do right now, I'm not going to drive 20 miles, but I'll get it, I'll do it, all those steps, except I'm not going to drive 20 miles. One other thing, and then I'll check it again later. One other thing I would say, two other things. One reason I like to do this myself is I get under the vehicle and see if there's anything else going on. And look in the engine area too. But like I noticed this has grease zerk. Most cars don't have grease zerks anymore. But this tie rod ends have grease zerk, so I went ahead and hit it with grease. When you do that, I don't particularly worry too much about mixing different types of grease. And just the normal grease, normal grease it's not going to do anything if, I don't think so. And then just need about 3 pumps to push the old grease out of the way and put new. You don't have to pump and pump and pump, or they say pump till you see it coming out. I don't think you have to do that. One other thing I would say is, if you're going to do it wrong, it'd be better not to do it. So, and when I say wrong, I mean really wrong. Like you put motor oil in the transmission, or you forget to refill, you over tighten the plugs, or just do something just wrong. Everything in mechanical stuff, it needs to be done according to instructions, and you can't make it better. When that vehicle leaves, when it's new, that's the best it's ever going to be. You want to try and duplicate that condition. Basically, that's it.